Howdy y'all, I'm John Davenport. I'm your executive officer serving this year, class 21. So today we're going to be talking about saddling and tacking up. So when it comes to tacking up, the first thing you want to do is you always want to make sure your horse is groomed and that you've got the right tack. How you know you get the right tack? There are all these little tags that you can kind of see here that we have on all of our saddles. And you just match that to the horse's brand. So I've got Ranger, so that's R12, and I know I'm good to go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to talk about our saddle pads. So for a normal day of riding, whenever we're out here practicing, we just use this bottom pad. But when we go out in the public, we're going to want to look nice, and so we're going to use this game day pad here. So when you take the saddle pad, and you want to make sure your horse is fully groomed when you do this, you take the saddle pad, you're going to turn it like this, and you're going to make sure the horse sees it. He's looking at me, he knows what's going on, so I'm going to put him up here. I'm going to make sure I start it high up here, higher than I want to go, and I move it back as I go. And the reason I'm going to want to do that is because that makes sure I'm not pushing hair that way against the horse, and I'm keeping all the hair aligned going down his back, making sure it rides right. It's going to keep the saddle in place when you do that, because that's going to stick in place right there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this top pad and we're going to make sure it's aligned with our horse. Make sure he knows what's going on. Go ahead and put that pad up there. And make sure that line that you see up top here is going to run straight down his back. Just about like that. The A&Ms are always on the back. Just make sure it's nice and flat so that when you put that saddle on, it's going to stay pretty. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our horse saddled up. So when we do that, you want to come over to the saddle. Like I said, make sure it's the right saddle, that you have the right saddle for the right horse. And then we're going to take the saddle. We're going to make sure we've got all our parts. You want to make sure you have a breast collar, because sometimes these breast collars will fall off, or if you're riding a section horse, they might not have them on there. Make sure you get the right stirrups. You don't want to ride with metal stirrups, especially if it's just a practice day. So we're going to go ahead and take the saddle off. Make sure you get all the pieces. And then when we go up to the horse, we're going to approach him from the near side, and we're going to flip the saddle upside down like so. And we do that so that way we make sure we've got all the pieces are facing down and out and nothing's caught underneath the saddle. So we're going to walk over to our horse, make sure he knows what's going on. When we do that, let him get a smell of it. And then we're going to take this, and without letting anything flop down, we're just going to put it right in his back, right where it's supposed to go. And that white line that I showed you earlier on that game day pad should be aligned straight in the middle of that saddle when you do that. So we make sure our saddle's on right, and then we're going to go ahead and get all our pieces straightened out. Make sure that all the stuff that's supposed to be over here is over here. And it is. So on this, on your latigo here, this is a ring on the saddle. You want to make sure that ring is always within that leather, because if it's not, it's going to rub our horses and it's going to get someone injured, and we don't want that. Now we're going to go around to the other side of the horse, and we're going to take all this stuff down very gently. And when we do that, that way we can go ahead and get our horse ready to go and get him saddled. So come around like that. I always walk around a horse with my hand on the horse's rear. That way he knows I'm there. And then I come around and I stay nice and tight to him. Just in case anything spooks to him, then I'm right next to him and he knows I'm there. And if a horse knows you're there, the odds are he's not going to intentionally kick you. So, all right. Let all this stuff down nice and easy. We're going to take our breast collar, make sure everything's straight on the breast collar. All right. And let our stirrup down nice and easy like that. You don't want to flop it down on the other side of a horse, because we've addressed this in a couple videos already, but horses can spook pretty easily out here. And so if your horse does spook easily and you flop that down on the other side of him, he's not going to know what's going on, and he's going to just get hit, and so he might spook and he might go that way towards you and run away from that pressure. So now we're going to go ahead, let down our girth here. Make sure that ring's on this side as well as within that leather. And that looks about right. If you can look at it, we want about a hand length in between this leg right here on the horse, right there in that armpit, and our girth back here. Kind of make this easier for y'all to see. So my hand fits perfectly right there. Let everything down. I normally go ahead and I take this part of my breast collar off. Make sure it's straight. Just so when I'm on the other side of the horse tacking up, I don't have to come back around and mess with it. So we're going to move back around to the other side of the horse now. This is important that you're moving back and forth around the horse. And when you are moving back and forth around the horse, just make sure you're cognizant of your surroundings and understanding what's going on. So you reach down, grab this girth, and make sure you undo the latigo. Then we're going to take our latigo and we're going to go 3 times around. Now it really varies on the horse because sometimes you're going to want to do more than 3 loops. And depending on the horse and the time of year that it is, they're going to be different sizes and the girth's not going to fit exactly how it would at other times of the year. So when you're girthing a horse, you want to make sure an easy way to get it tight is you take it left hand, and your right hand you stick it right here, and then you can pull up with your right hand and down with your left hand. That's going to get a little tighter. But we don't want to go too tight on our horses right now while we're just tacking up. We'll do that later whenever we're doing groundwork. So I'm going to come around again. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and tie it off and make a T-knot here. So when we make a T-knot, you're going to come down, out to the left. You're going to go across, like so, to the right. Back up underneath. Through the ring again, and then back down through that loop you just made, just like that. And that's going to keep it nice and tight and from slipping up while we're riding. Next thing is our breast collar. You always want to make sure you do the latigo and the girth first. The reason for that is if a horse spooks and you have a breast collar on and not the girth, then that saddle's going to come off and that tree's going to break. If you have the girth on first and the horse spooks, then your saddle is going to be fine. So I'm taking the breast collar off like so. And I'm just going to hold it in my right hand and then reach around with my left hand. Make sure this is all settled up here. Just twist it on me. All right. Now I'm going to come around. And I have this piece here. You always want to make sure that you check how many holes are underneath showing on this side, because you want to make sure they're even for the breast collar on both sides. I've got 5 holes showing right there. And we always go up through here. You go through this hole on the saddle. You're never going to go to these rings because that's going to keep it A, uneven, and B, those rings are not as sturdy as that tree is. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 6th. All right, this next piece down here, it's going to clip onto the girth. Ring on the bottom of the girth that you can't see right now, but there's a ring down there, and it should be about centered on the horse. On the breast collar, you want to always make sure it's not too tight because it's not supposed to be tight on a horse like the girth is. So you're going to come around to the front, you're going to make a fist, and you're going to put your fist right there. And as long as you have a fist length in between the breast collar and the horse's chest, that's how you know it's not too tight. All right. And so we're going to take our stirrups down. Normally we'd adjust our stirrups, but that's about it for today. I'm going to show you how to take off the saddle. So we're going to do the reverse. This time we're going to take our breast collar off first. Reason being, like I said before, if you take that girth off, you're at a real risk of having the horse spook, and if the horse spooks while that girth is off, then that saddle's gonna come off. We're gonna put it back up through this top ring here. Now we're tied to this saddle. I left that other piece to connect so that way when I go around to the other side, I'll connect it to the top. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take my girth off now. Just undo that T-knot, pull straight off, loosen this up. All right, and then to put your latigo up, you come through the top once, make a loop about like that. You're gonna go again, down through the top, and then you're gonna kind of make similar to our T-knot. You're gonna go down to the left, cross, back up, just like we did whenever we were tightening up the girth, and then down through. And now that's gonna stay there and look real nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and go around to the other side again. Making sure our horse knows we're here. We're gonna take this, cross it over there, and put our girth back up here. And then clip the breast collar back on. And now our saddle's free, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come under here with our right hand, push up on the saddle pad, make sure we're free of the mane. I'm gonna come around here, and I'm just gonna lift it all off. And there we go, just nice and easy like that.